Warning, you are about to enter the BGP suite. No thongs, no boy shorts, no thigh highs, no commandos are permissible. BGP, big girl panties only. So pull up to woman up. And no, please don't leave with your panties in a bunch.
Hello, and welcome to BGP. My name is Adrianne, and today, we're going to do our A's Q&A, and I just want to jump right in. But before I get started, I want to remind you to please subscribe, share, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so every time that our broadcast comes out that you'll be able to follow us. We appreciate any comments that you may have, any show suggestions. Be sure to use that comment. We do read those, and we appreciate any advice or constructive criticism. So moving right along, today I want to talk about actually a topic that is something I've dealt with a lot because I do counsel women from time to time who have dealt with sexual assault and domestic violence. Here's the scenario. Your 13-year-old daughter comes home and she shares with you that your boyfriend has touched her inappropriately. As a mother, I know that's a rough thing to hear from your daughter. And I'm going to share just a little bit of a situation that occurred here recently. A friend of mine had contacted me, and this is a friend of a friend. And a similar situation occurred, and she went after the gentleman. And I just want to know, and I'm not going to go too much into detail because I don't want to share too much, but I'll share a little bit more further. But what would you do in that situation? I think sometimes, a lot of times when you think of the movies like Precious and things like that, we don't always know how to deal with those type of situations because it's such a delicate situation. How would you handle that if you were told by your 13-year-old daughter that your boyfriend inappropriately touched her?
I would ask her if she's okay. I would ask her to tell me what happened. Like, be very specific. Let her get comfortable. Be as specific as she can. And then I would call some people for backup because we will have a discussion. I would send her, over to a place where she feels comfortable while we're having this discussion with him. And then make my decision, move forward after that with how I'm going to proceed with him. But I would definitely, my first thought as a mom would be to protect her and make sure she's okay. And let her speak her truth. Let her tell me what happened, as far as, from her perspective, how she felt, what he did, what he said, everything. And then kind of get her somewhere where she can feel comfortable while I go into confrontation mode with him, with backup.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say confrontation mode, what is
as
that?
Far as asking him, I'm going to tell him, like, this is what my daughter is saying. I'm going to tell him specifically everything she's saying, and I'm going to ask him, what happened from his side. I want to hear what he has to say, because whatever comes out his mouth determines my next step. But I definitely won't disregard her. She's my top priority, but I'm definitely going to confront him as calm as I possibly can. That's why I said I would have backup. I would have other people with me.
Exactly. Miss Mo?
First of all, he's gone. I have such a great relationship with my son. My son tells me everything. My son does not fabricate anything. So it would be my belief that my daughter would tell me everything and she would tell me the truth. I don't think children just come up with accusations of that manner for anything. Yeah, our relationship is over. I like Neisha said, I would get my daughter, I would talk to her, ask her, is she okay, find out what happened, and I don't need no goddamn backup. I'm the backup. Then me, him, and her are going to sit in that room, and she's going to say what happened, because I need to watch his expressions, watch his responses, to have clarity about how I'm going to move forward in pressing charges. That's it.
That's why I said I would need to know what comes out of his mouth, because that's going to be the determining factor of how I move. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely.
And once this allegation is confirmed, and he has, and it's said that he has done this, and I know that we want to, of course, press charges. How would you, as a, because in some cases, and I've seen this firsthand, that some women will say, oh, you're just jealous of me, you don't want me to have nobody, you being fast, you probably did something. Matter of fact, I had a situation once, a young lady said that her 6-year-old danced provocatively in front of her boyfriend, and that enticed him and made him do what he did. What do you think about a statement like that?
There are some very dysfunctional moms out there who choose men over their children.
Speak up.
For me, it's disheartening, because I've had conversations with young ladies and men who've experienced that, and when they told their mom that, she chose dick over them, right? A lot of women prefer to have a piece of a man as opposed to being single, and so they tolerate toxic and gross behavior just so that they could say they have a piece of a man. It couldn't be my child. This is a very sensitive topic for me, but yeah, it couldn't be my child.
First of all, did this man live with?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. First of all, like I said, I have a son. My son has only seen 2 men in my life besides his father. I'm not going to pick a man that's going to be looking at my daughter in a sexual way. That man is not going to be in my house living with me with my daughter, because I got things to do. I got work to go to. The problem with women that allow these men into their homes is they're being very selfish. They're looking out for themselves. I don't trust no goddamn body with my kid. Not even my son with his dad. I'm not going to trust a man with my 13-year-old daughter. I don't give a damn if she is in the house dancing provocatively. He don't have no reason to be looking at a 13-year-old in that manner. Ladies, keep these niggas out your house with your daughters. That's number one. Make them date you on the outside of your house. He doesn't get to have those house privileges if he's not your husband. If he don't have his own place, then he needs to spend money for a hotel. Men are not supposed to meet your children immediately. We need to stop this mess, because it happens too often than we think. Point blank, period. Your relationship with that dude has nothing to do with your daughter. You don't want him to meet your daughter until you find out what really is going on with your relationship.
Right. And what are some preventative measures that we can take to ensure that our kids are safe when they're around not just strangers, because statistics say the majority of molestation happens in the family, somebody that's close to them that they would normally trust. and that person begins to groom them into being okay with these touches, whether it be they offer them some candy. Here, I'm gonna give you this, but let me do this, or let me just see this, and a lot of times I think we teach our kids, if anybody touches you in the places where your bathing suit covers. But you have to teach them about their mouth, their gut, everything, because there are some sick individuals out there. I think it's real important, too, that I don't know if you guys are all aware, but Megan's Law has a website. And on that website, you can put your zip code in, and it tells you every pedophile in that area.
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, not all pedophiles are registered.
Correct.
So there's still some proactive things that we need to do as parents to ensure that our children are safe. What are some things that you think that you could do to make sure that your daughter or your son, because I think a lot of times we focus so much on our girls.
That's what I was saying.
That we forget
that
it's
the boys
women,
get touched
and it's
too.
boys. I mean, it's men that touch boys
and women.
And women that touch boys
too. Yes. I'm going to base it on a conversation recently that I had in a room I was in on Clubhouse. I won't say we were trauma bonding, because it wasn't a case of trauma bonding.
Speak up.
But we were expressing our experiences growing up as kids. And predominantly the men and women were touched. Right?
Yeah.
Most of them came from single parent homes. A lot of us did not come from single parent homes, and it still happened. For me, when I have a daughter who's now 13, and I've always taught her the opposite of how my parents taught me, as far as when I was growing up, my parents, and I get it, it came from their families, was in the belief that give so-and-so a hug, give everybody hugs, give them a kiss, it's okay, blah, 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 right? For my daughter, I was like, she is not to give anyone a hug. She is not to give anyone a kiss. If she don't want to give that person a hug, she don't have to.
True.
She knows. No one is to touch her anywhere. No one. That includes grandma, grandpa, uncle, auntie, dad, anybody. Nobody is to touch her personal space at all. And if they do, tell mommy.
Right.
I'll take it from there.
Right.
But she's under that, like, understanding that no one is to touch her inappropriately. I don't care who it is. See, I come from a family where, like I said, stuff happened, and unfortunately, a lot of us didn't speak up. And because we didn't speak up, more and more people were affected. Right? And so, like I said, I'm different with my daughter compared to how our family is. And so now as an older woman, our family know it's out now.
Out there now.
It's out now. Things have been made aware, but it's like they understand where it's like, she don't hug nobody. She don't have to talk to nobody. She feeling some kind of way, you leave her alone. Like, we don't do that. Also, when it comes to dating, nobody comes to my house. Nobody. I took a break for a long time for that reason, because I was just like, I never wanted to put my child in a vulnerable position. We're not saying that I attract men that are on that, like that, but I never wanted to put her in a vulnerable position where that could happen. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to make sure she was safe, and I still teach her about things, and we still have conversations, and we still have open communication. So if something like that was to happen, we would be able to discuss it, and she wouldn't have to feel shame. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that needs to happen.
Right.
First of all, for me, know your child. You know how your child walks, talks, chews, sleeps, takes a shower, takes a bath, puts on lotion. You know all of that about your child because you're supposed to. You're their parent. You're their protector. You are supposed to know when they're hiding something, when their personalities change. It's very, very important, and I did this with my son, every day to have open lines of communication. Every day, how was your day? What good happened today? What bad happened today? Did anybody say anything to you inappropriately? Did anybody touch you inappropriately? You need to ask those questions on a daily basis. See, when we were growing up, we had dinner time where everybody sat at the table and they were able to discuss their day. And if you are in tune to your people, your relatives, your children, you're listening, you can hear certain things. We need to keep open lines of communication. See, I don't know about your generation, but maybe yours and mine, we were taught to speak only when spoken to. Don't get in grown folks' business. Respect your elders. And one more thing I can't think about, but we were really not in the presence of adults at any time. When mama and daddy had parties or they had little drinks and they were slapping dominoes, the women was in the other room with the women. You know, they might have been up in the kitchen. The men was outside drinking and snapping dominoes, playing cards or whatever, and the kids were somewhere else, especially at nighttime. We could not come out of our rooms to go and entertain with grown people. After we spoke, you know, we were gone. We'd have to be ear hustling, or we had to play like we had to use the bathroom, or we had to play like we was thirsty, you know. And then it was probably time to go to bed because you didn't try to pull that trick too many times, you know. But our parents set boundaries. You know, my father wouldn't let me eat a big stick in public, outside. When we had picnics or barbecues and stuff. And I used to think he was crazy. He didn't let me take this bottle of Coke and drink it in public around relatives. So when I got about 40-something years old, I went and got a fudge stick out the refrigerator because that was his favorite. And I'm in there talking to him, you know, sucking on this fudge pop. He said, meet me in the bathroom. So I met him in the bathroom, and we looking in the mirror, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, this man crazy, what the hell? He said, now suck on that popsicle. So I take the popsicle, you know, put it in my mouth. He said, you're nasty. And I started laughing, and he said, that's why I didn't allow you to eat bananas. I did not allow you to eat popsicles. I did not allow you to put a soda to your mouth because I didn't know who was watching you. Wow. So we are our children's personal police. I know when something is wrong with my son, even when he's not going to tell me. So I would definitely know what's wrong with my daughter. Keep those lines of communication open. Tell your children there is nothing bad that they cannot tell you. I need to know it first. Yeah, I told my grandbaby, she's 7 years old, nobody touches none of this. None of this. They don't talk to you crazy. You don't let them whisper in your ear. That's something that we have to get comfortable in doing. You know, these children are growing up faster than we could ever imagine. Absolutely. They're not able to have that young, innocent, naive childhood. You know, we're over-sexualized. We have grown-ass men and women looking at little kids. Right. You know, so yeah, communication is the key to everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things too I wanted to bring up is when you identified, like in the scenario, the 13-year-old daughter, and you said one of the things was to ask questions. What specifically happened? Because there's a very thin window. I think it's like 48 hours. If she was penetrated, that you need to get her to a hospital so that a rape kit can be done, and so that that they, if necessary, there's the proof. This young lady has been touched. She's either her hymen has been broken, or either there's something left there that's proof that she has been sexually assaulted. And it's a rough thing for young girls to go through. I was on SARS, which is the Sexual Assault Response Team, and to sit there and watch these little girls that would have to go through that process to be able to prove that they were molested. It's awful, but it has to be done in order to make sure that those people are prosecuted so that they don't continue to do it. But back in the day, probably even before our time, these are little things that was swept under the rug. They didn't want to tell on freaky Uncle Bernie or whoever he was.
They would just say, don't sit on Uncle Bernie's lap, because they knew Uncle Bernie liked kids, but they still let Bernie be around the kids and at family gatherings. Don't sit on Auntie so-and-so's lap, because she liked to be, she's overly touchy. And she, like, you know, it was, in my opinion, it was excused in the previous generations. And I feel like now more and more people are speaking on it, or they're thinking about certain conversations that were had but not really had as they were bringing up their kids. Like, you know, my mama never let me wear. My mama always said to cover this when so-and-so come up.
Exactly.
My mama always made sure that we was way in the other room when so-and-so would come over.
Without
you know what I'm
giving
saying?
you an explanation.
Right.
And then when you got older and you reflected
It
on,
made sense.
that's what happened.
And what happens, especially to women that have been molested, you become very hypersensitive. So
Yes.
anything, you looking at every man
Yep.
who's going around your
Yep.
baby. Is his dick getting hard? Is he don't
Guilty.
put my baby in, and you can't spend the night over
Guilty.
nobody's house.
Guilty.
Because you become so hypersensitive. You don't want that to happen to your
Yep.
child.
And I think for that instance, you really need to seek therapy because you don't want to be so overprotective that you're not healed, so you project your unhealed
anxiety
onto your child.
Correct.
You know, and now they don't know how to have social interactions with people. They're always on the defense, and that's not a way to live life on the defense like that. Shout out to Kwame Brown. He's tearing up the internet right now, and he was speaking about the Charlamagne the God sexual assault allegations with, is her name Jessica Reed? And him and Boyce Watkins has got into it because Kwame was like, he should not be on the radio. He should be in prison.
He should.
You know, he gave her allegedly,
a drug.
allegedly, you know, a drug. I think he stated this, and then he has sex with her, a 15-year-old girl. He was 22 at the time, and he said, like, they all wanted to run a train on her, but he didn't allow it, and he was the only one that slept with her. And so he said, when she woke up the next morning, she kind of wanted to know what happened, and he said, we did it, you know. And so Boyce Watkins was like, he doesn't know what happened, and Charlamagne has been good to him and helped him get on the Breakfast Club, and that some women that look 15 look 18. So Kwame kind of went off, and he said, so because an 18-year-old girl looked 15 years old, that gives you the right to go ahead and have sex with her? Or that he said, I don't know any 22-year-old men that will be hanging around a 15-year-old girl in the first place. So you need to check yourself. So, yeah, it's some sick people out here. Do not allow your children to be around men, period. I don't care if it's your granddaddy. You be checking for everybody.
And here's the thing, too. Believe first. You know, most kids, I think 99.9% are not going to make up no story that they've been sexually assaulted. But I think one of the biggest things one time in our teen group that we had is that the mother did not believe them.
Absolutely.
She did not believe it. It continued to go on, or she ended up pregnant by the dude. It's just, you know, I think we start re-victimizing these kids, and or you have these people years later. I had a woman that came to me, 73 years old, never spoke on it. Her father had molested her from the time she was 5 till she was like 13 years old, every day. And her mother couldn't stand her because she knew it was going on. But she was his favorite, and she act like she just put blinders up and act like it didn't happen. You know, so how a mother would allow, I don't know. I know me personally, I have allowed people in my home that did not need to be there. Because they were abusive. And I'm telling you, me and my daughter are just now building a relationship that's healthy years later because the trust is gone. They don't, you know, they don't trust you. So I think it's real important to keep those lines, like you said, lines of communication open. Believe your babies. Talk when they tell you stuff. Believe it. If they say, "Mom, I don't want him here no more," that's a sign.
Yep,
that is a sign.
Absolutely.
So we have to be vigilant for our children. We advocate for our kids
and teach them healthy boundaries early.
Yes.
Teach them healthy boundaries of what's important, what's touch,
good touch,
bad touch.
Yeah.
You know, what people say. You know, protect your kids because, again, as kids grow and get older, if they see that their own parents can't protect them or you know, do their best have their best interests at heart, they're doomed
Yeah.
when they become adults.
And I'd like to throw out there too, nowadays you have YouTube channels that if you feel even a little uncomfortable having these conversations, they have age appropriately good touch, bad touch videos that are so good. I highly recommend you to just go through there, look at some of the videos and see which one may work with your kid. I mean, of course you still have conversation with your kid, but it just kind of opens it up and where they understand, okay, the doctor, as long as my mother is there, the doctor can touch me because they're checking me and my mother is present. But if somebody touches me and it makes me feel weird, or that person is telling me to keep secrets about it,
right,
that's not appropriate. So there's so many tools out there to assist with that and helping you, you know, being comfortable with talking to your babies. But definitely have those conversations. Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and I'll probably say it more times. Once you have children, your life is not your own.
Mm-hmm.
You have this little individual looking up to you that thinks you are Superwoman, that thinks that you're going to protect them, that thinks that you will not let any harm come to them. We got some sorry-ass, trifling-ass, low-down, dirty ass women out here that don't give a damn about their kids. Mm-hmm. They really wish that the kids was not there. Mm-hmm. Because you never put a goddamn man in front of your goddamn daughters or your sons. Their happiness does not come before your children's. Mm-hmm. You should not have your children lined up to have anything harm them. It's one of them jugglers.
That's that juggle. See, the juggle movement, y'all.
Jingle, jingle, jangle.
Juggle.
And I'm dead ass serious. Y'all need to quit it. Y'all need to quit just having strangers enter your life. You don't know them, and you don't know what they're there for. And here's the thing that we do have to remember. Sometimes molesters have been molested.
Exactly. Hurt people hurt people.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a normal thing to do. You know, they feel that, you know, they're doing okay. You know, their life is going great. So this is not harmful. It happened to me. Yeah. Stop being so trifling.
Yeah.
Worry about your kids. Get their lives in order. Get them out the house before you try to trust a man.
Mm-hmm. Be mindful who you have around your children. Pay attention to your children's actions and behavior when people are around them. Teach them healthy boundaries and ask questions. And just protect them as best you can while teaching and keeping that communication open. Because I could tell you, when you feel like you're not being heard or you're not being protected at an early age by people that's supposed to love and protect you, it's the worst feeling in the world. Wow. And a lot of times that's how, when we become adults, not saying that's the story for everybody, but how some go the route of promiscuity, where we sleep with everyone, or we go into, we're not sure who we want to sleep with sex-wise. Mm-hmm. You know,
it's very confusing.
Or, you know, like Miss Mona just brought up, how some people think that it's okay, so then they become the abuser. You know what I'm saying? So be mindful, like.
Or the sex becomes perverted.
Yes.
There's no boundaries
yes.
in
Exactly.
sex.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Time after time, you'll hear stories that women, they overlook the situation because they need some bills paid. They lonely as hell. You know, they about to get evicted, and, you know, how dare you accuse this man of doing anything when he's, you know, taking care of us. You know, we have relatives that know what's going on that won't call it out. Because if I'm close to my niece, I know a change in her, and I won't speak on it. You know, we have to start speaking up on this, because it happens to young boys and it happens to young ladies. It's a no-go for me. You don't get a second chance for me, and you better hope that the police get to you before I get to you.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is when we see these young girls and they're being fast, as we call them, a lot of times those are the very girls that have been molested. Like
Correct.
you said, they're being promiscuous, they're seeking that attention because the body is responding how it's supposed to respond. No, it's not supposed to even have to deal with those issues at 11, 12, 6, 7, whatever,
7.
you know, but it starts to respond to it. It starts to
which
bring
leads
about
to
confusion. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
so much confusion there. So, gosh, I'm so glad that nowadays we are starting to have more conversations so that this doesn't go on and women become where they keep these secrets for years and it affects
Destroys
their
them.
relationships going forward. So, yeah.
When you talk about being fast, how does a child become fast? You know, a child, they might get it from their environment, they might get it from their relatives, but there are young babies that get molested by grown-ass men.
Correct.
They're not fast. It's some nasty-ass men out here
And women.
that don't have, and women,
yes.
but you're talking about, this dude, that don't have no boundaries. You know, what do you see in a 13-year-old that you got to be so desperate to violate her like that, to take away her youth like that, when you can go out in the streets and probably get it for free?
Exactly.
Stop being so goddamn nasty. And women, stop being so damn trifling. Protect your babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't got nothing else to say.
I'm done too.
But
Good
topic. Good question.
Yeah. I just want to say in closing, like you said, Mona, protect your babies. They don't ask to be brought into this chaos, drama, and your bullshit or whatever. Protect them because, then that's our job as parents is to protect them. Yeah.
Yep.
If you can't, because Neisha said something very important. When you can't go to your parents, you can't go to anybody.
That's right.
If you can't trust your parents with your intimate, when you can't trust your parents with your fears, with somebody violating you, with you being done wrong, you can't trust anybody because they're the closest thing to you. If you cannot talk to a mother, a father, a auntie, somebody in your immediate family, go somewhere. Reach out to somebody else's mother. Reach out to somebody else's parents. Get that story out. Do not hold that in. Do not ever think that somebody else is more important than you. Do not ever think that somebody else's livelihood is more special than your livelihood and your well-being. They violated you. You didn't do anything wrong. Don't even think that you did anything wrong. I don't give a damn if you was butt naked in your own house. If you was dancing to a little song, somebody should not be looking at a child in a sexual manner. I'm getting pissed off. So that's my final thought.
Oh, goodness. And I'm done. Yeah.
BGP. We
out.
Bye.
Whew, that was deep.